Gundy wants to see on a regular basis.
Well, when you're that athletic, you have to use your athleticism. If you don't run, it doesn't matter how athletic you are. And that time, he beat Tim Duncan down the floor easily for the easy flush.
Parker into the lane, kicks it out to Kawhi Leonard from the wing. And Leonard knocks down the three ball. Kawhi Leonard doing a lot of work with the coaching staff on his three-point shot since arriving here years ago. Now a 49% three-point shooter.
Number one in the
Jackson back the other way. Aaron Baines won a title here with the San Antonio Spurs before joining the Pistons in free agency off the Caldwell Pope miss. Here comes San Antonio. Leonard with a nice show and go. Got it.
Well, how good has this guy been playing? His last 8 games, a shade under 25 points. 55% from the field and 55 from 3. When you do move, it's different depending on your role. I mean, Tobias Harris, they're asking this guy to be a huge part of what they're doing. I mean, they figure they don't have a go-to guy right now. Reggie Jackson probably being that guy in that fourth quarter, but they're looking for someone else, a perimeter-type player, to be a guy they can go to, and that's what they expect out of Tobias Harris.
As Leonard knocks down the mid-range pull-up. Yeah, the first couple of games, Harris came off the bench for Stan Van Gundy, and since that time, the last 5, he's become the regular starter.
Well, they feel like they got a steal. Didn't you feel that way? Stan's like, we couldn't believe this guy was available. We love him. He's a great kid. We get a foul there on Kawhi Leonard. But he's been good. He's changed the way this team has played already in just 6 games. The ball movement is better. He understands how to play the game. And you see the numbers, a few less minutes or a minute less, but the numbers up. He's shooting the basketball well. That's a very difficult thing to do, to come into a new system. You know, and really when you come into a new system, the terminology is the hardest part, because basically everybody's running the same thing, but you're so used to hearing different calls that because basically everybody's running the same thing, but you're so used to hearing different calls that you don't react in time as Morris knocks down his 3.
And Harris, obviously, a guy that teammates like playing with, getting that assist over to Marcus Morris. Good matchup here between Morris and Kawhi Leonard. Well, Marcus Aldridge with that mid-range jump shot. Aldridge averaging over 16 points a game on the season. Jackson with a quick get back.
How about that?
In a blink, JB.
That was big.
Guy that teammates like playing with, getting that assist over to Marcus Morris. Good matchup here between Morris and Kawhi Leonard. Well, Marcus Aldridge with that mid-range jump shot. Aldridge averaging over 16 points a game on the season. Jackson with a quick get back.
How about that?
In a blink, JB.
That was a big-time move right there. This guy has really played well for Detroit. Greg Popovich is not happy with Eric Lewis. I'm not sure what the problem. Look at that beautiful cross and great finish with the left hand. And Pop is not happy right now.
And there's some kind of issue with Kawhi Leonard. Looks like he's going to go over to the sideline, and it might be a contamination control issue. Looks like he got cut. San Antonio Spurs leading 17-16.
I think Pop was upset that, yeah, you're coming over there for the blood thing, but why didn't you call it before Reggie Jackson crossed over my guy Patty Mills and laid it in? Why didn't you stop play before that? Well, but Detroit had the ball, so I don't think you can stop the play right there.
Folks, let's take a look at the upcoming NBA national TV schedule. A full slate of games across the NBA networks. Tomorrow on TNT, the Spurs are going to be in New Orleans. Then OKC is at Golden State. Saturday on ABC, Houston is at Chicago. And Sunday on ABC, Golden State is at the Lakers. NBA TV Sunday has Memphis at Cleveland. For more on these games, please go to NBA.com or visit the NBA app. Hey, what about that Saturday night game coming up on ABC? Houston at Chicago. The Bulls like a sieve right now defensively, giving up a lot of points. And Houston
last night, yes.
Houston signing Michael Beasley.
I know. I'm going to call this the fishing game because both these teams are reeling. You catch that?
I love it. Yeah. I love that one. 4 points. Patty Mills in the ball game for San Antonio. He and Boris Diaw off the bench, and they come up with the steal. Leonard going to work on the baseline against the shorter Reggie Jackson. Couldn't make them pay. Patty Mills in the ball game now. He's the key cog offensively off the bench for San Antonio in the absence of
for this team. He's the guy that makes that second unit go. You mentioned Mills. He's played well, and he's really kind of regaining the form that he had in the championship year. But Manu is the guy.
Ginobili practiced yesterday with the Spurs, did a little 3-on-3, and today noted that there was no pain after undergoing testicular surgery a couple of weeks ago. Leonard gets it back on the repost against the shorter Jackson. Mills an open three. Yes!
Over 40%. Patty Mills. That time a little two-man game. Patience by Kawhi Leonard. He gets the double team and kicks it to Patty Mills for the wide open three. No rotation from the weak side.
Time out on the floor. San Antonio leading by 4 when we come back.
It is a good day. I'm here in section 124 with my new friends, Jill, Brian, and look at this guy. It's George the Iceman Gervin. Now, you might be asking yourself, man, Brian is very lucky to be sitting next to this guy. Well, you know what he did? He went to FanDuel.com/Spurs.
Incredible. As Tobias Harris knocks in the layup, what this team has done. I mean, those guys won 2 more titles since that time in 05. Man, that's a long time.
San Antonio with its 17th consecutive 50-win season. Whistle and a foul going to go against the Detroit Pistons. That's the 3rd team foul against Reggie Bullock, who's checked into the ball game out of North Carolina. Stan Van Gundy with just 11 healthy players because of injuries. As Kawhi Leonard knocks down another mid-range jumper, he's got 9.
Well, it's fun to see him aggressive, right? I mean, he's just waiting to take the mantle, and I think he has. I think he could be even more selfish, be more aggressive on.
That one halfway down and out. And the veteran Steve Blake in the ball game for Detroit. Blake, one of the oldest members of that Pistons team. Baines couldn't get the left-handed layup to go. And back comes Kyle Anderson, affectionately called slow-mo by his teammates.
And he's playing very well for this team, and could be a major factor as Kawhi Leonard can't get that jumper to go. When they go small ball against the Golden State Warriors, they're going to need a guy playing that ball game. Be very interesting.
There's Bullock off the dribble handoff. Nice floater in the lane, falls with 16 seconds to go.
Never really has found himself in a rotation for an extended period of time. Talented guy, athletic, can shoot the 3 ball. And maybe he can find a home here in Detroit.
Leonard taking out his do-it-yourself kit. Hits the jumper with 3.3 to go. Detroit has a chance here. Caldwell Pope for 3. And that's the end of the first quarter.
Well, a high-scoring first quarter for the San Antonio Spurs, and their best player now, Kawhi Leonard, getting it done. The mid-range J hit a 3 earlier, and the Spurs lead by 2 as we head to the second.
One thing I love about coming to the Spurs game is we get you involved in the action. This is my new friend Jacob right here. He's going to play Frost Time Frame. Now here's how it's going down, Jacob. We're going to show you a video with some events, and then you have to guess which year those events took place. If you do
10.7 points per game in the last 3 games. Detroit in the midst of an 8-0 run right now. Parker behind the Aldridge screen. Not a lot of flow to the San Antonio offense right now.
No, that was a bad possession. You're right. That ball stayed on the right side of the floor the whole time. Credit Detroit for that half-court defensive possession.
The foul on Caldwell Pope.
Yeah, no, Caldwell Pope is saying the same thing. It's like Tim Duncan ran into him. I didn't do anything. I mean, he was behind him. I don't, maybe he had a little bit of contact, but he certainly didn't throw him into Duncan.
That looked like a blocking foul on Duncan.
That was.
There's the big fella inside with the jump hook. And that snaps the long drought for San Antonio. Popovich has his starters in the ball game with under 3 minutes to go here in the first half. Pistons looking for their 5th straight win. Jackson coming up short. Leonard on the move.
Wow. Mickey Mouse hands to grow. Remember the hamburger helper commercials? Yeah. I call them the hamburger helper because those hands are absolutely enormous. It's early in transition, you got to stop the ball. And Kawhi gets by Reggie and gets by the other Reggie and lays it in.
The NBA on ESPN, presented all season long by State Farm, is brought to you by the new 2016 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport. Make your drive a sport. And Jersey Mike's, be a sub above.
Appreciation night brought to our good friends at On Time Elmer. Now check it out. The hockey players are going to have military-inspired jersey. Active duty and veterans get 50% off. And it's Dollar Drink Night. That's this coming Friday. Rampage right here in the AT&T Center. For more information, go to sarampage.com. Jonathan, what's up, man?
Thank you, Chuck. It's time.
Play in the NBA today. To do what they were able to do in the NBA today. Right? I mean,
not sure.
Look, I enjoy it for what it is. I have no one has ever seen anything what Steph Curry is doing. So I'm just going to enjoy it. I enjoyed watching film of the old-time greats too, and we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, we're going to appreciate the greatness that is Steph Curry right now as Kawhi Leonard makes it a 1-point game, under a minute to go. Leonard with 15.
And he's really struggled against Detroit. That his last 2 meetings with Detroit, 3 of 19 from the field. Last 2 games against the Pistons.
Yeah, he did a nice job against him. 7 on the shot clock. Jackson got to the bucket but lost the handle, and now Pistons unable to close out this half well. They could give the lead up here. Got a 7-second difference between the shot and the game clock. Leonard one-on-one out top against Bullock. They flatten it out for him, and Leonard goes to work.
Jeez.
Man, he worked Bullock like a part-time job.
Pretty easy, isn't it?
17 points in the first half for Kawhi Leonard.
He has the 1-3, but everything else mid-range and off the dribble for Kawhi.
Jackson with the step-back jumper. The Pistons going stone cold to end the first half as San Antonio surging ahead by a point. Behind Kawhi Leonard, 17 points on an efficient 8 of 11 from the field. Tobias Harris countering for the Pistons with 13 and 4. Got a little help from his friend, Marcus Morris. Folks, stay tuned for the Toyota Halftime coming up right after these messages. Keys to the offense for Popovich as he knocks down the baseline jump shot. And now in this 3rd phase of his career, JB's much more a mentor to some of the younger guys like Leonard and Aldridge.
Yeah, and he's handing the keys now to them. It's gone from Tim Duncan to him. Manu Ginobili sprinkled in there a little bit, but yeah, you're right. He was the key to the offense, his penetration, getting into the paint, scoring at times. But since Greg Popovich is that way, 7 since 2005.
This Spurs team seems poised to make another deep run, coming up a 7-1 rodeo road trip. It's often the time they use to do a lot of team bonding. Leonard inside, kicks it out to Aldridge. Leonard behind the 3-point line, way off the mark. Detroit seemed to have lost its rhythm at the halftime breaks. Parker on the push, and now he's going to run a half-court set. Off the Duncan screen, thinking about scoring. Caldwell Pope to take out his do-it-yourself kid, and he couldn't convert.
Oh, he's really struggling. 0 for 7 on the evening.
Aldridge from Leonard. It wasn't what you would call picturesque on the pass, JB, but it got there, and now the Spurs in the middle of a 12-3 run.
Well, when you get shoved in the back, Reggie Jackson literally shoved him, and as he's falling out of bounds, still finds a way to get it to Aldridge.
Harris gets it done.
Brandon Jennings needed to get out. Ilyasova, I think they'd love to still have. They're looking for a stretch 4. But to get a guy like Tobias Harris, I think was an excellent move for this distance group.
Nice crossover by Harris. A little drive and kick, and he draws the foul on Kawhi Leonard. You know, we were talking about Boris Diaw being the NBA's most interesting man. Well, when you dig into the history files of this guy, Tobias Harris, his grandfather, Lieutenant Colonel John Molzak, was one of the famed Tuskegee Airmen, the Air Force pilots back in World War II fighting age. He went on some very prominent bombing missions.
And really has played well in this 11 out of 12 game win streak for San Antonio. As Drummond can't get that first free throw to go.
Well, you probably know Andre Drummond, not the league's best free throw shooter.
Not the league's best.
36% from the free throw line, and it's interesting, it's always the story. Watched him in pregame, he made about 4 or 5 in a row, looked very easy and calm doing it, and goes 0 for 2 on that trip. Double team and out of it, a nice find. Charged by Mountain Dew at 7:30 Eastern Time. Both games streaming live on Watch ESPN and the Watch ESPN app. The Wizards on the outside looking in right now in terms of the Eastern Conference playoff picture.
They're playing much better basketball. John Wall with a huge night the other night. And I like the Markieff Morris trade. I really do. I think that's going to help this ball club.
Harris turns it over, tried to find Drummond and couldn't. And it's a transition. Parker pulls it back out.
Turnovers mounting up here for Detroit. 11 now in the game. Can't turn it over on the road against a good team if you want to win.
The NBA on ESPN, presented all season long by State Farm, is brought to you by Experian. Let's get serious about your credit. And BMW, we only make one thing, the ultimate driving machine.
Section. The section who wins will get free t-shirts, compliments of Academy, as well as sunglasses and taquito coupons from Whataburger. All right, section 228, let's hear what you've got. All right, section 229, it's your turn.
You wouldn't think that pros would have those kind of jitters.
Alonzo Mourning did before every game.
Yeah. You? For what?
That's what I did the night before.
Here's Leonard on the wing, rising up over Harris.
Would you call that morning sickness for Alonzo?
Ooh, nice.
You like that?
Nice. Nice.
No, he was so hyped up and intense that he did. He'd throw up before. I never played with him.
I get the feeling Reggie Jackson's was more nerves.
Yeah, no.
Just the one time.
Boy, Pope really can't get it going here. He's 0 for 8 now.
Not many alternatives right now for Van Gundy. A little short on bodies. Leonard from the free throw line drills one.
Well, you think Jody Meeks lost for the season early? A guy that can really stroke the basketball. In Detroit, look, they struggle to shoot the ball. That's their main problem. Perimeter shooting is an issue.
In his zone.
No, he's playing Words with Friends.
Are you sure?
No. He's watching our game.
I think he had a little Kendrick Lamar on his iPod.
Our game.
Mills in the front court for the Spurs.
How about Westbrook in the MVP conversation? In the distance, because we know who's winning that.
Got to be unanimous with Steph Curry right now.
And Kawhi Leonard, I think, is in the hunt, along with Russell Westbrook.
Harris.
Your business. Is exactly what he told me when I asked him, hey, Kevin Martin got waived. Or have you guys talked about him maybe joining here? And he said it was none of my business.
Yeah.
Okay.
There were a few adjectives in between.
No, you know,
your and business.
Trying to do my due diligence.
Whistling a foul, going to go against the Spurs. Danny Green. First of the period, second personal.
Important couple minutes here, Mark. You got to make the first run. You're down 14. If they go 6-0, you're in big trouble. You got to make the first run. You got to make the first punch. And let's see if Detroit can do that here.
Morris stares down the three. This is the beginning of a tough stretch for the Pistons in the big picture. 6 of their next 7 games are going to be on the road, and then in the last part of March, they'll play 9 straight home games. So a chance for them to at least hold the fort here until they make it home in the last part of the month, with their eyes on snapping that playoff appearance drought. Tough shot by Kawhi.
You're right about that. He's been terrific mid-range and going left or going right and spinning and finding a way to knock down mid-range shots. Kawhi Leonard now with 21 points over their last 26 ball games.
Defensively, they're having some real big problems right now. And what kind of difference do you think Joe Johnson is going to make with the Miami?
Well, I think it's big. I mean, they've struggled to shoot the ball from the perimeter. Offense has been their problem for the better part of the season. Steal, Leonard, and the hamburger helper.
Kawhi Leonard's hands are everywhere. Check your pockets, folks. You might have them in your pockets, too. I mean,
hey,
those mitts.
Mickey Mouse is jealous, let me tell you. The mitts are enormous, and this guy is one heck of a player. Look at the snatch with the left hand.
For the Spurs, it's all hands on deck. And Leonard with the slam. San Antonio with the lead.
Don't forget, fans, the louder you scream, the more t-shirts we'll throw.
Top teams. They've lost to OKC, Toronto, Golden State. They split with Cleveland.
And split with the Clippers.
Yeah.
But look at the scores.
Yeah.
30-point game. Will really beat soundly in Cleveland. But they're 50-9. They're on pace for the best record in team history. This is the 7th fastest team to get to 50 wins in 59 games. 7th in history of the league. I mean, what the Warriors are doing, obviously, all the talk is about them, but
more times.
3 Golden State, 3 Oklahoma City.
And Toronto, who's number 2 in the East.
Wow.
At home.
I believe we have a OKC Saturday night here coming up, and then a Golden State Warrior game here on a Saturday night.
Drummond battling underneath against 2 different Spurs. Couldn't come up with the offensive rebound. Still a 13-point game past the midway point of the 4th quarter. Jonathan Simmons getting ready to come in for Popovich. Leonard back out to Aldridge, a little pick and pop. This is starting to look like the LaMarcus Aldridge that was the regular all-star in Portland.
Yeah, well, he's been great. The last 12 games, over 20 a game. And look, his numbers are going to be down. His field goal attempts, well, I mean, you can have a Green-Griffin lineup if you want to go small. And you could even go smaller around the backcourt playing CP3, Jamal Crawford, and J.J. Redick. Got to find something.
Yeah, Leonard wasn't expecting the pass, so that's what happens.
So catch it and throw it up and knock it down. 25 now for Leonard. Boy, he's been on a roll. Just under 25 his last 8 games, and that number's not going down.
15-point lead, Drummond inside, and he punches it home. Andre Drummond, a part of USA Basketball, moving forward. Could be a part of that Olympic team that'll make the trip to Brazil this August and try and bring home the gold medal. Of course, Greg Popovich will succeed Coach K as the head of USA Basketball. And this guy on cue, Leonard, is a part of USA Basketball as well.
Man. There's no hesitation. There's no thinking. It's pedal to the metal for this guy. 21 field goal attempts He knows that he's the guy here offensively for the Spurs.
13 of 21 tonight. And, you know, you speak to 3 points a game. Former Finals MVP, the reigning Defensive Player of the Year. Boy, when they pulled off that draft day deal, trading George Hill for him, they really knew something maybe a lot of people didn't.
Well, yeah, nobody really could have thought. I mean, obviously he's an excellent player at San Diego State, but to think that he would be a Finals MVP and be as good as he is offensively here in 5